So I just read a statement saying that Bibi had to make a phone call to Qatar and apologize for killing one of his top security guys.
Trump and Netanyahu announced they have a comprehensive 20-point plan to return all the hostages and end the war. As we have been saying for months now, the formula is not ceasefire now. The formula is return the hostages, remove Hamas, end the war. That's what the plan is. Israel has formally agreed to the proposal. Now it is up to Hamas to agree to it. The deal is as follows. Within 72 hours of acceptance, all hostages must be returned. That's 48 people alive and dead. That's 47 men and 1 woman. I want to remember, Inbal is still in captivity. 1 woman still needs to be returned, all 48 of them. In return, Israel will release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. That includes people with a lot of Jewish and American blood on their hands. Gaza will be rebuilt with a massive international aid, hospitals, water, electricity, infrastructure, what we've been saying for a very long time that they need and what Hamas has been using for their terror infrastructure, going to be rebuilt. Governance will shift to a technocrat Palestinian committee overseen by new International Board of Peace, chaired by Trump, with leaders like Tony Blair. So they're inserting the international community into the governance of Gaza. Very important. If there was one thing that was incredibly apparent after October 7th is that the Palestinians, sadly, were not ready to govern themselves on their own right now because they were given land, and what they came up with was October 7th and the most fortified region in the world, which is Gaza, essentially. So international governance to help the Palestinian people create their own sovereignty. Hamas will have no role in Gaza's governance, okay? All tunnels, weapons, and terror infrastructure will be dismantled. So no role in Hamas, for Hamas, in the new future of Gaza. An international stabilization force will secure Gaza, train a vetted Palestinian police, and work with Israel, Egypt, and other regional partners. Very important. Israel will not annex Gaza. IDF withdrawal will be tied to verified demilitarization milestones. Economic revitalization includes a special economic zone, foreign investments, and job creation for the Palestinian people. The plan envisions a long-term pathway towards Palestinian self-determination and peaceful coexistence with Israel, not instead of Israel. Thank you very much, Yahya Sinwar. And everyone wins. Everyone wins. The hostages come home, aid flows to civilians, Israel gains security, Gaza gets the chance in peace and prosperity. Now, even Hamas members, if they decide to disarm, they're going to be offered amnesty in other countries, to be determined which countries they'll be.
Hello guys, so the President of the United States of America is pushing a 20-point peace plan aimed at stopping the war in Gaza. Yes, in this proposal is the dramatic hostage deal, where they are requesting that all Israeli hostages, alive or dead, will be released after 72 hours of the acceptance, and all Palestinians, on all the 1,700 Palestinians, will be released, including the 257 life imprisonment in Israel. So guys, welcome back to my social commentary, and if today is your first time coming across our channel, do well to subscribe to our channel. Tell us what you think about this particular video in the comment section, and please do ensure to like and share the video to help the channel out. You're welcome.
September 29th, 12:38 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Trump and Netanyahu and others have met, and the peace deal is almost a full go. Trump said they're just waiting on Hamas. And if Hamas signs onto the peace deal, Trump says this will be for eternity. This will be forever. Now, I've read on Telegram that Trump said if they do not sign on, then America will take over 80% of Gaza. So these are two possibilities. And I've been talking with Christine from I Am Redeemed, and it kind of blew our minds a little bit. This could be both Daniel 11:45 and Daniel 9:27 combined. Daniel 11:45, and he will pitch his palatial tents between the sea and the glorious land. and of course Daniel 9:27, the covenant with many. Now, I did a YouTube video showing that it does not have to be a 7-year covenant. It's just that the covenant lasts 7 years. Because if this is the covenant with many, there's only 7 years left before Jesus returns. So if and only if this is the covenant, we are waiting on Hamas. Now, these are my thoughts. This is not thus saith the Lord. But this year is a year of Jubilee. The year of Jubilee starts on the Day of Atonement. This year, the Day of Atonement is October 1st and 2nd. On the Day of Atonement, God chooses whether He is going to forgive or not forgive Israel. And if this is the covenant with many, it could be that the tribulation starts on the Day of Atonement when God does not forgive. And this is when God starts dealing with Israel and the rest of the unbelieving world. And I think it's very interesting that the year of Jubilee starts on the Day of Atonement. Am I saying that between now and the Day of Atonement is Rapture Day? I don't know. We don't know the day or the hour, but we need to be prepared. Very, very interesting things happening right now, folks.
I watched Trump's speech with Netanyahu today, so you don't have to, and here's my overview. We'll start with the craziest thing. He says that if it were him, he never would have given up the oceanfront property to Palestine because that's some of the most valuable property in all of the Middle East. Let's get into the meat of it. They spoke for about 40 minutes. Trump mentioned Biden 4 different times and Obama once. Right at the beginning, he messes up the pronunciation of Abraham Accords, something that he's said continuously over the past 5 years, and says it's the Abraham Accords. Now, this might just be him trying to do like a more literal pronunciation for the way that it would be pronounced by a Netanyahu. But even Netanyahu, when he speaks later, will say, I don't care what you call it, Abraham, and then he refers to it as the Abraham Accords. So obviously, they've both for years been in agreement that is the Abraham Accords, but I guess he just wants it to be Abraham. He says he's going to talk about the principles that they need in order to achieve peace, but then before going into what those are, he gets distracted and says that European leaders keep calling him and saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? As if it's something that he's had a choice in this whole time and just is now choosing to do. He points out that most world leaders are men for no reason. I'm just going to let you know, I don't listen to him at 1x. I listen to him at 1.25 or 1.5. And even at that pace, he sounded really slow. Like normally that normalizes out his voice a bit, but he sounded really slow. He does eventually talk about the proposal for peace, but it's very unclear what he's trying to say. Netanyahu will come in later and clear it up, but here's the summary of what he says. They need to release all of the hostages immediately, or within 72 hours. They need to demilitarize all of Gaza immediately. And then he says that it's going to be an immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza, but the war itself, whatever that means. And then he keeps going to this point. Now, he's done this for months now, where he says that they want all of the live hostages back as well as the bodies, but then he keeps saying that like the parents want the dead bodies back as much as they were if they were alive, which I mean, I understand is true, but he even says he hates saying it because it just doesn't sound right. He says this point, Netanyahu doesn't clarify this later, but he says that a bunch of Arab countries have agreed, some of them in writing, some of them just with their voices, but he believes them, that they are going to be the ones who are demilitarizing Gaza and relying on them to handle Hamas, as he puts it. And then he says they're going to drain the local police forces in Gaza. Regarding other Arab countries policing and demilitarizing Gaza, he says that if they don't do that, then Israel will have not only every right, but the complete backing of the United States in order to, and then he gets confused and starts just naming off people before going into the point. And then after he finishes naming off people, he looks back down at his paper and he's like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. That Israel is going to have the right and full backing of the United States to finish the job and destroy all of Hamas, something that he promised before and has since followed up on when he put out his Trump Gaza video. You remember that, right? He multiple times throughout this says that this is going to stop thousands of years of wars that have been going on. And then at one point goes, it's 2,000 or 3,000 years of war. I mean, yeah, there have been conflicts in all regions of the world for many thousands of years, but he's talking specifically about specific countries doing international policy as it relates to today. And he's talking about 2,000 to 3,000 years old. I mean, does he even know that Israel wasn't even a state until after World War II? He doesn't. He does say, however, that if you study this and know the culture and are a scholar, that you would know that it is 2,000 or 3,000 years. Again, 2,000 years, if we're talking about like Jews versus Muslims, Islam didn't come around until like 600 AD, Christianity not until after Christ was born. So it was mostly just Jewish and pagan people in the area. But again, all of the conflicts intertwined. He doesn't understand any of that or anything like that. He then says that if they can do this, it will be eternity. It will be forever. If he can get this peace deal done, it's going to be forever. He then says that there's going to be a new international oversight body that it's going to be called the Board of Police. And he says that he really didn't want to do this, but everyone else wanted him to. And so even though he's really busy, the person who's going to be in charge of that, and he does say this in third person, is the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. He also says that everyone else wants to be on this board, but he's going to, for some reason, put Tony Blair on the board. Doesn't give a reason why that is or anything like that. But again, everybody wants to be on this board that he's going to be on top of. Trump says they're going to form a Palestinian government composed of Palestinians as well as experts from all over the world. And then he immediately contradicts himself by saying that Netanyahu will never accept a Palestinian state, something that Netanyahu himself says that he will not accept when he speaks later on. Just randomly, he says that people in Israel really like him, but he has no idea why that is. He says that EU leaders are only recognizing Palestine as a sovereign state because they're just tired of what's going on and they just want something to be different. Speaking as if he was Netanyahu's own propaganda minister, he says that Israel is justified in bombing hospitals and schools and mosques because Hamas was using it for their own terroristic activities. This one was funny because it just shows that he doesn't believe that he's actually getting anywhere with any of this. He says that he hopes that it's true, but hopefully in a few days there will be no more bullets fired and that will last forever. Oh yeah, also on the Abraham thing, he says that he likes that pronouncing better because it sounds more distinguished. He just randomly says that the Middle East is a vast region. No other anything, no correlation to anything else at all. He just says that. He also says that he single-handedly and personally made Jerusalem the capital of Israel and that all of that turned out very well. I swear to God, he doesn't need to do this, but he again bitches about the teleprompters not working at the UN, but then says that he had a long speech prepared even though he was only supposed to speak for 15 minutes and that he just went through with it anyways, and you have to do it from the heart because if you don't do it from the heart, then you're going to be totally screwed. And he says that Biden could have never pulled that off. I know October 7th was just less than 2 years ago, but he finishes off his speech saying that Hamas has to accept this deal because they've lost their entire leadership group 3 times over in the past 4 or 5 years. Kind of just showing that Israel has been attacking them and committing a genocide for much longer than before October 7th, which again was a retaliatory result of Israel continually bombing Palestine. But, we don't have to get into the global political, aspect of all of that. After he's done, the Israeli war criminal comes up and he explains that all of this would be in line with what Israel needs for this war to be over, which is, of course, bringing back the hostages, dismantling Hamas's military capabilities, and ending Hamas's political rule, and ensuring that Gaza is never again a threat to Israel. If that first part where I was trying to explain the proposals that Trump was saying didn't make a whole lot of sense, those are the points that he was trying to say. He's just really bad at talking and keeping a thought going. So it really didn't make any sense the way he was saying it. So just clarifying, those are the points that he was trying to make need to be done in order for this to end. Which, why would Hamas agree to just giving up all of their leadership, all of their military capability of defending themselves? Why? Why would they do that? Netanyahu goes on to explain that the IDF forces are fighting on the front lines between humanity and barbarism. Now, if you ask me personally, I would say committing a genocide, using starvation as a weapon of war, telling people to move to different areas and then bombing the areas that you tell them to move to. There have been reports that they had sounds of babies crying to lure people into the streets to shoot them. I don't know if that one is completely confirmed. All of those things sound barbaric to me. But of course, Netanyahu is referring to it in the exact opposite way. And then finally, Netanyahu says that when they bombed Qatar, it was a regretful thing that there was loss of Qatari life. But he says that wasn't their target. So what's the big deal? Hey, 10%ers, less than 8 minutes. I'm getting pretty good at doing this. Okay. I have a couple thank yous. This person says, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching You Know Who, so we don't have to. I love your content and look forward to it every day. That was from Vicky M. They sent a book, Murder in the Family. And this person says, this book opened my eyes to how we got to where we are because of social media. I hope it does the same for you. Also, Automating Humanity by Joe Toscano is an interesting read. You rock, from Ashley L. They sent the book Careless People. Now, don't get me wrong, all this speech was one war criminal talking to another war criminal, but at the end, I do want to point out, Trump says, I don't think we should answer any questions until all of the documents are signed, because again, all of this is just tentative, and it's just them proposing that Hamas give up everything and Israel be allowed to be back in charge of security for all of Gaza and the West Bank and all of that. He suggests that they just give up everything, and they don't want to take any questions until all of that are signed. And then he says, but Bibi, do you want to answer any questions? And Netanyahu's like, I think we'll trust your instinct on this one and not answer any questions. You know, because he is actively committing a genocide, that the world is telling him he's actively committing a genocide. So, of course, he's not going to want to take any questions. Love you.
Yo guys, thank you for watching the video. We really appreciate it. So the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that this is a good move to ensure that this peace works between the both countries. So he is likely to accept the terms that the United States President Donald Trump is giving, and while we wait for Israel reply. So guys, thank you for watching the video. We really appreciate it. Do well to tell us what you think about this particular video in the comment section. Please like and share the video to help the channel out. You're welcome.